This is News 8 Now, this morning.
You're not saying that he wouldn't understand that he's going to get in trouble for what happened.
No, I'm not making that comment.
So he makes you acknowledge from the criminal complaint that he took certain actions to cover up what he did or to remove himself from the situation when he got scared.
Yes.
I think we have an obligation as a state to provide more resources to make sure that every parent that needs help to find child care can get it in the state of Wisconsin.
If you think about it, like, there are people out there in need and like you're helping them so much. It's just such a little act can like impact them and save their lives, and it's really awesome.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for watching News 8 Now. I'm Dua Shar.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is August 9th, 2023. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Halfway through the week.
Yeah, there we go.
Halfway through the week, almost at the halfway point of the month,
Yep.
kind of there. Man, the summer is flying by.
I know, sure. It feels like every summer it feels that way, where it just quickly comes and goes.
I think it has to do partly with like living in the Midwest.
Yeah, because we have like 6 months of winter. It's crazy.
Exactly, and those, like,
Yeah.
the summer months really realistically I feel like fall into like 1 month of really good weather. And so that's why it feels like it's just constantly ending.
Yeah. Well, on that
A little depressive note to start off your morning.
Well, hey, but at least we still have the rest of August.
We do. We
have,
do.
You know, and September really is fairly nice here as well too. So we are looking at some increasing. All right. Well, apologize for that. Are we mic'd? Are we good? Okay. All right, so we are looking at increasing clouds moving in across the Coulee region right now from the west. We're looking at those increasing clouds moving in from the west associated with a disturbance, a couple of disturbances rather, a cold front to the north, another one down to our southwest. Current temperatures are into the 60s, 61 in Eau Claire, 64 in La Crosse, 59 in Winona, and temperatures in Sparta are currently at 49 degrees. 59 is the temperature now in Prairie du Chien. So as we take a look at your planner, we got mainly cloudy conditions through the rest of the morning and also into the early afternoon, followed by afternoon temperatures into the 80s here today. West-southwest winds at 5 to 10. There is a slight chance of a shower or two as we near the early evening. So here's a check on your allergy report. Weed is on the medium side, ragweed is low, mold is high, and we got the same forecast for tomorrow. Now, by the way, our neighbors up in Madison to the east of us did report some ragweed pollen on their latest air samples each day last week. So we'll keep our eyes on that in case that does become a thing here in the Coulee region. I'll have a check on your full weather forecast coming up in a few minutes. We'll talk about those rain chances that we may have today and then later this week again. Dua?
Thanks, Derek. Well, let's get to some news this morning. A reverse waiver hearing has been held for the teenage boy accused of killing and raping 10-year-old Lily Peters. Lawyers for the teenage boy are trying to move the case to juvenile court. In today's hearing, more witnesses were called to the stand, one of whom was a psychologist that works for the state of Wisconsin. He has worked with juveniles that committed violent crimes in the past. The district attorney pressed him about the suspect's capacity to understand the gravity of the crime, despite the suspect being on the autism spectrum.
You're not saying that he wouldn't understand that he's going to get in trouble for what happened.
No, I'm not making that comment.
Okay. So he makes you acknowledge from the criminal complaint that he took certain actions to cover up what he did or to remove himself from the situation when he got scared.
Yes.
The Vernon County Sheriff's Office is releasing new details on a toy wagon incident that left one dead Friday night in the town of Whitestown. In a press release by the Vernon County Sheriff's Office, 17-year-old Marvin Miller, 20-year-old Irvin Miller, and an unnamed male juvenile were riding a toy wagon downhill on Indian Creek Road when they struck a tree. All three were ejected down an embankment. After the incident, Irvin Miller called the Vernon County Sheriff's Office 911 dispatch center around Friday night. at 10. The unnamed juvenile was transported to Lafarge Ambulance to Vernon Memorial Healthcare in Viroqua before being transferred to UW-Madison. Marvin Miller was pronounced dead at the scene by the Vernon County Coroner's Office. The incident remains under investigation by the Vernon County Sheriff's Office and the Vernon County Coroner's Office. A block of one of downtown La Crosse's busiest roads is down to one lane. The city of La Crosse says a block of 4th Street is partially closed for an emergency water line repair. The northbound driving lane on the right-hand side has closed between J and Pearl Street, clogging up traffic. The work on the water line will finish on Thursday. A rail crossing in Bryce Prairie is closing again, this time for pavement repairs. That's according to a notice sent from the La Crosse County Highway Department. BNSF will work on the County Road Z crossing again starting Friday. Work was first started on the crossing on August 1st and 3rd. During Friday's repairs, access to certain areas in Bryce Prairie will only be available by using County Road ZN. The workforce behind the workforce. That's what Wisconsin's Secretary of Workforce Development called childcare. Governor Tony Evers was in Eau Claire to talk about childcare. While there, he called a special legislative session to address childcare affordability and availability. Evers is hoping to pass around $350 million for childcare programs in the state. He notes that childcare is an expensive option for families and can be hard to find.
I think we have an obligation as a state to provide more resources to make sure that every parent that needs help to find child care can get it in the state of Wisconsin.
Evers says his child care funding plan will make Wisconsin more competitive with other states. Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos released a statement about the session. He called Evers' proposed child care package, quote, unsustainable. The special session is set for September 20th. A La Crosse County committee is considering new uses for Federal American Rescue Plan Act funds. The committee will discuss a plan that would put $500,000 in ARPA funding towards child care. The money would continue child care counts, which was initially a statewide program. It was cut out of this year's state budget. La Crosse County got almost $23 million in ARPA money during COVID. That funding must be allocated by 2024. Another group is also trying to decide how to use some of that ARPA money. The La Crosse City Council's Finance and Personnel Committee voted 4-2 last week to provide $150,000 of funding to assist the area's unsheltered population. The funding will go to continuing an independent living resources outreach program. ILR is one of the groups working with La Crosse City and County to bring homelessness down to zero in the next 5 years. The spending plan will now head to the full council. The Houston School District asked voters to approve $30 million capital referendum to renovate district buildings. The unofficial answer at the polls is an overwhelming no. The unofficial tally is 91% of the district voting against the referendum. The district had split the request into 2 questions. The first was for $18 million to renovate district buildings, including more secure entrances and add new learning commons and media centers. The second question asked for $12 million for a new auditorium and performing arts spaces. The superintendent said before the vote that no matter the result, the discussions that have come out of this process will be beneficial moving forward. Mauston City Council has approved its new rules for public comment guidelines after making a significant change. We showed you earlier this week how legal experts were concerned about the Mauston mayor's item that read public comments should not be an attack on an individual, institution, or organization. A longtime free speech expert told us the word attack was too vague and had a chilling effect on First Amendment rights. Several council members agreed the word attack was problematic.
The individual, I think you need to take that out of there, but as far as the institution or organization, there's no sense in them coming up here if they can't voice their opinion on trying to fix something, in my eyes.
The council decided to amend the line to say comments should not be an attack on an individual or city personnel, and then passed that amended version. The West Salem Honor Society partnered with the American Red Cross to host a blood drive. According to a student in the West Salem National Honor Society, the organization has been partnering with the Red Cross for about 20 years. Anyone who registered to donate was also entered in a drawing to win prizes. A student volunteer said that donating blood is an easy way to help others.
If you think about it, like, there are people out there in need and like you're helping them so much. It's just such a little act can like impact them and save their lives. And it's really awesome. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for people to do, and I think it's really cool that we're able to actually do it.
The blood drive comes as the Red Cross is experiencing a nationwide shortage in blood donations. The Frozen River Film Festival will be partnering with the Minnesota Marine Art Museum tomorrow. The Winona-based museum will be hosting screenings of Freshwater, Tiny Titanic, and A Voice for the Wild. After the screenings, there will be a Q&A with the director of Tiny Titanic, Mark Schultz. The free outdoor screening starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. A fan favorite beer is making its return to the Coulee region after being gone for more than 20 years. News 8 Now's Michael Germain has the story.
Oh, I think the community's excited. I mean, it's going to make hopefully more shifts, more jobs for G. Heilemann Brewing. Old Style has always been a real liked beer, not only in the La Crosse area, but it's big in Chicago, the Iowa regions. It's a well-liked brew.
It's apparent throughout the Coulee region, as many bars have advertised the beer on overhanging signs. At the time, Old Style was one of the top brewers in the nation, until it was bought by Stroh's in 1994.
People come in the bar asking for Old Style all the time, and for the last, I don't know how many years, 25, 30 years, I've had to tell them that we're not distributing it anymore.
Pabst is transitioning some of its brands to the City Brewery Network, Old Style being one of them.
Old Style is one of the first ones to transition, and looking like pretty excited to have it come back to obviously where it was first brewed and whatnot. So we're pretty excited about that.
The first time in 24 years.
I just think the history of definitely in the Wisconsin area, then also, you know, down in Chicago. I mean, the history with the Cubs and all the other things with the signs outside the taverns and everything. It's just the history. I think people are really looking for a beer just to kind of like go back to.
Although it's been gone for many years, many have not forgotten.
We're still here. We've been here for a long time, but you know, coming back to an area where that people love the brand. And for me, I'm super excited. I'm happy I'm on the brand. And hopefully we can do some really fun things in the fall here.
The brand continues to grow throughout the Midwest, in particular Michigan and Indiana. Well, still ahead on your morning news, Chrysler is recalling almost 54,000 vehicles over faulty airbags. And mortgage rates are on the rise again. The reasons behind the trend and what it means for us homeowners. That and more is coming up this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. A 3,000-year-old arrowhead found in Switzerland was made from a meteoroid, according to the Journal of Archaeological Science. The 1.5-inch arrowhead was found on a pile-dwelling site at Lake Biel in western Switzerland during the 1800s. Closer study in recent years revealed the artifact was created from iron within a meteoroid that landed in Estonia. Don't go anywhere. Your consumer news at News 8 Now this morning is after the break.
Cloudy skies are moving in from the west here this morning, and that is a sign of what is to come in our forecast in general here for today. Let's get to our temperatures right now as you head out the door, and you can see that we're looking at 61 degrees currently now in Eau Claire. La Crosse, you're a bit warmer than that right now at 64 degrees. Winona's at 59. Sparta, you're much colder, however, at 49. Prairie Sheen, 59 degrees. Preston currently at 64 degrees. As far as your zone forecast today goes, we are calling for our highs to be relatively seasonable for August here into the mid-80s this afternoon. 85 pretty much everywhere in La Crosse County today. Now as we head south, we're looking at highs around 85 in Soldiers Grove and 83 today in Viroqua. Lynxville, you'll be at 84. Harpers Ferry at 83. Postville at 80 degrees. As we head to our central zones, Melrose today, you'll be at 84. Winona's High today, 82 degrees, 83 in Blair, and 84 in Black River Falls. And as we head into the Chippewa Valley, low 80s can be set here today, the high of 82 degrees this afternoon in Eau Claire. Watching for a couple of thunderstorms as well as we get near the evening hours. Mostly cloudy skies for the morning. Cloudy skies here for the afternoon. Dog walking conditions in general today look nice. Partly cloudy skies as we head into this evening hours for those evening walks. But again, a couple of storms possible later today. We'll talk about that in the full weather forecast in a few minutes.
In your consumer news this morning, Chrysler is recalling nearly 45,000 vehicles because their airbags may not deploy properly. The problem is a piece of interior trim that could interfere with the airbag. Affected vehicles include current and last year model Jeep Wagoners and Grand Wagoners. Any Chrysler dealer can inspect the vehicles and correct the problem at no charge. Chrysler is planning to mail letters to all owners of the affected vehicles September 22nd. U.S. consumers have more credit card debt than ever before, according to new numbers from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The data shows that Americans now have more than $1 trillion in collective credit card debt. The total balance of debt has risen for 5 straight quarters. The chief credit analyst at LendingTree says that high levels of inflation, as well as high interest rates and living costs, are behind the worrisome trend. iPhone users get ready to hang up the phone differently. Apple is announcing a number of updates that will change the way users make calls. The red end button will be moving from its current position at the bottom middle of the screen to the bottom right. Another update is live voicemail, which will transcribe messages from callers in real time. Finally, the name drop feature will allow users to share contact information by placing their phones near each other. A week after Fitch Ratings downgraded the U.S. debt rating from AAA to AA+, mortgage rates are already starting to climb back up. Amanda Sansone takes a look at how borrowers are being impacted by the rising rates.
The housing market taking another hit. According to Bankrate, the average rate for a 30-year mortgage rose to 7.09% last week after credit rating agency Fitch downgraded the U.S. debt rating from AAA to AA+. This over worries that the U.S. won't fulfill its debt obligations.
We feel like, that the other underlying metrics have deteriorated to such an extent that it's no longer consistent with the AAA.
Economists say higher mortgage rates mean consumers will have to pay more for the same house. Those higher costs are sidelining some would-be homebuyers, but demand is still high. One economist says that's because inventory is too low.
We sort of have a housing shortage in the country. We need to build a lot more homes over the next decade to catch up with the shifting demographics and the actual demand, especially amongst those first-time home buyers.
Fitch's decision to drop the U.S. credit rating last week is having a ripple effect. Mortgage giants Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae also saw their ratings fall slightly. And all this could make it even harder for U.S. consumers to find a home they can afford. Several leading economists have denounced Fitch's downgrade, citing cooling inflation and other positive indicators. Meanwhile, former Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson says the debt is not an immediate worry.
But longer term, it's a major concern. There's no example in history of any major power continuing to be a power where they lose their fiscal strength.
Well, that's it for your morning consumer news. Let's check in with Derek and get today's forecast.
All right, thanks for that, Dua. We are looking at partly to mostly cloudy weather conditions here this morning, and we do expect those clouds to increase as we head closer towards those afternoon and also evening hours. Let's check on those current weather conditions. It's currently 64 degrees. Visibility running around 10 miles. Southerly winds light at around 9 miles an hour. Meanwhile, if you're listening in Eau Claire, you're currently at 61 degrees. We do have wind speeds that are looking nice and calm, visibility at 7 miles. So we mentioned the partly to mostly cloudy conditions, and you can see that skies here over the last 30 minutes to an hour have increased greatly. So now we're turning mostly cloudy. So there's a couple of reasons for that. A couple of disturbances. One of them here to the north, here's the cold front. That's expected to move further south here today. That could help increase our chances for rain and thunderstorms. And not to mention that we also have this disturbance back to our south and west near Iowa. That disturbance is going to continue to move east. That may help increase our moisture here for today as well. Our current temperatures are into the 50s and 60s. We got 64 in La Crosse, 61's the temperature in Winona. We're looking at 56 in Black River Falls, 50 degrees in Sparta. 55 is your temperature down in Boscobel, and temperatures in Red Wing to our northwest are currently at 61. So as we take a look at your planner, we're going to continue mostly cloudy weather conditions throughout the day today. Temperatures will be into the 80s as we head into this afternoon. We're watching the chance of a few scattered rain showers that could move in here as we get closer towards the evening hours from that frontal boundary. I'll get to that here in a second, but I do want to show you the forecast highs today, though. We'll be well into the mid-80s here today. Very seasonable for this time of the year here in August, with that high of 85 in La Crosse and 81 this afternoon in Eau Claire. So you can see that we do have this frontal boundary position to our north. That system's going to continue to move its way down to the south, along with that disturbance back towards the southwest, inching closer to us at the same time. That will help increase the cloud cover for today as well. Now, we could be looking at some showers, a couple of thunderstorms associated with that frontal boundary as it continues to move in our general direction today. A couple of lingering showers are possible as we head into tonight. Tomorrow, that frontal boundary is going to stall out, and we may be looking at some clouds and a couple of showers as long as that boundary is near place to give us a little bit of moisture for us to work with here as we head into tomorrow. And some showers, some thunderstorms will be mainly focused well off to our north tomorrow, but I can't completely rule it out of the picture. However, just a slim chance. I think we'll see some better chances, however, as we head into Friday with our next system moving through. Sunday, another slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, really the rest of this week, a mix of clouds and sun with highs in the 80s and lows in the 60s. Stay with us. We're back with much more news and weather still to come on News 8 Now this morning. Also coming up is Rob with our morning sports blitz. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Blitz. Just 9 days remaining until our first football Friday night of the season. All teams throughout the Coulee region are gearing up for their Week 1 matchups. And for the Luther football team, the Knights are looking to build on a solid 2022 campaign. The Luther boys putting in the work during Tuesday's practice, just a week and a half until their season opener against Blair Taylor. As for 2022, the Knights finished 7-4. They won 5 straight at one point during the regular season. They also won a playoff game in Level 1, but the team met its match in back-to-back weeks against 2 of their conference rivals in Bangor and Cashton. But second-year head coach Jeff Comey says his group of guys is already showing a different level of confidence than years past, and that can only bode well for the Knights when it matters most.
Our guys are real hungry, and they've got that expectation now versus they don't think they're going to sneak up on teams. They believe that they should be in the mix with it. They know they can play with those teams. They know they can play with the playoff teams, and I think that's a different mentality as opposed to being surprised being there. I think it'd be a huge disappointment for them if they weren't there right with those teams.
With the last couple of years being successful years and getting a couple of years under our belts, it's really boosted our confidence. In the summer, working out together and just our friendships and chemistry as a team is something that in the big moments we can definitely work together to get through.
Just a little over a week until opening night, Luther takes on Blair Taylor to kick off the regular season a week from Friday. On the diamond now, for the first time since 2020, the Loggers are heading to the playoffs. La Crosse clinching a playoff spot in dominant fashion last night. Loggers all over Thunder Bay for the second straight night. They win this one 17-1 over the Border Cats, and La Crosse will be postseason bound. Loggers will get to host a playoff game for the first time since 2012. They'll get to hear from the home crowd tonight at the Lumberyard. Loggers are set to host Eau Claire. Brewers looking to make it 2 straight over the Rockies on Tuesday. Milwaukee down 1 in the 7th until Andrew Monasterio sends one high and deep to left. This ball game is tied. Just the second homer of the year for Monasterio, but it's a big one. Ties the game at 3. We'd go to extra innings, and that's when it all falls apart for the crew. Andrew Chafin walks Cole Tucker with the bases loaded. Colorado jumps in front, and then it goes from bad to worse. Abner Uribe in to try and stop the bleeding, but he walks back-to-back hitters on 8 straight balls out of the strike zone. Rockies take a 6-3 lead. Still in the 10th now, Nolan Jones is going to send this one to left. Christian Yelich makes a nice grab, but Colorado adds another on the sac fly. Rockies take a 4-run lead. Brewers go down quietly in the bottom of the 10th. They fall on this one 7-3. Twins looking to make it 6 straight last night against the Tigers, but this one all Detroit in the 4th. Tigers already up 2. Zach McKinstry goes back up the box. That's a base hit. RBI single makes it 3-0 Detroit. Twins pitcher Sonny Gray trying to keep his team in it. He went 6 innings, struck out 10. That matches a career high for Gray, but Tigers kept pouncing on Minnesota all night. Detroit adding to its lead in the 7th. Jake Rogers gets a hold of one to left center, and that ball is way out of here into the bullpen. Tigers go up 4. They get the win 6-0 the final over Minnesota. Twins' 5-game win streak is snapped. They'll look to start a new one tonight as this 4-game set continues in the Motor City. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you for watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
Overnight, Ohio voters rejected a measure that would make it harder to amend the state constitution. It's a move some believe paves the way for a vote to pass abortion protections there later this year. But as CBS News' Jared Hill reports, the impact could go far beyond state lines.
The majority still rules in Ohio.
A major win for supporters of abortion rights in red-leaning Ohio.
Voters were not fooled by this unprecedented, dishonest attempt to silence our voice.
Last night, voters rejected a measure called Issue 1, maintaining the simple majority threshold to pass constitutional amendments. That's 50% of the vote plus 1, instead of the 60% supermajority state Republicans supported. It comes ahead of a vote in November, where Ohioans will decide if their state constitution should include protections for abortion access.
We don't want to see a really radical abortion amendment put in our state constitution.
But according to a recent poll, 58% of Ohioans are in favor. It'll be yet another test of America's temperature on the issue, over a year since the Supreme Court ruled abortion access isn't a federally protected right, rather a decision for the states.
It's really going to set the tone for the 2024 elections when we have a presidential election as well as many other states wanting to address abortion rights.
Ohio once again at the heart of the political debate.
Responding to the outcome, President Biden said in a statement, this measure was a blatant attempt to weaken voters' voices and further erode the freedom of women to make their own health care decisions. Ohioans spoke loud and clear, and tonight, democracy won. President Biden is expected to visit Vietnam soon. That's according to comments the president made during a campaign reception in Albuquerque, New Mexico yesterday. Biden said that the visit will be an effort to change the United States' relationship with the Southeast Asian country. This comes as the Biden administration is trying to counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region. The date of the expected visit has not yet been announced. Republicans finally have a candidate to run against Senator Tammy Baldwin. 40-year-old Rajani Ravandreen is launching her candidacy today in Stevens Point. She's a student at UW Stevens Point and is the chair of the Stevens College Republicans. She is the first Republican in the race. Other higher-profile Republicans like U.S. Representatives Mike Gallagher and Tom Tiffany both decided not to run against Baldwin. Baldwin is seeking her 3rd term as senator. As students are getting ready for their first day of school, areas across the country are dealing with higher than normal temperatures. Ivan Rodriguez looks into how schools are trying to keep their students and staff safe from the heat.
At Miller Grove High School just outside Atlanta, Georgia, final preparations to classrooms are underway for the first day of school. But because of the recent extreme heat, staff members are also taking precautions.
It's great to know how to stay hydrated and also how to find a place to stay cool.
Joanne Harris is the coordinator for Student Health Services for the DeKalb County School District. She says while students are outside, faculty will be looking out for any symptoms caused by the heat.
You're looking at heavy sweating, you're looking at muscle cramps.
All while giving students more opportunities for water breaks and cooling off indoors.
We want to make certain that they can come in and get some relief.
The month of July has been deemed the planet's hottest month on record by far, according to the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. For St. Paul Public Schools in Minnesota, slightly less than half of their buildings have air conditioning. Although students won't be returning to school until after Labor Day, they're preparing by outfitting more of their schools with AC.
We're just putting the finishing touches on our first geothermal heating and cooling system, which uses the stable temperature of the earth to provide highly efficient heating and cooling.
And for those schools without AC, Tom Perrin says they run their ventilation systems overnight to pull in the cool air and get the buildings as cold as possible before students arrive.
Now here's Derek to tell us what to expect for our morning commute. Derek, La Crosse is definitely not seeing those higher temperatures. In fact, we're kind of on the average trend.
Yeah, that's right, Dua. Our temperatures are looking fairly seasonable here, and they're expected to continue that way over the next several days. So even though we do have a cold front moving through today, I'm not expecting a huge variation in temperatures by any means. But what it will do is help increase our moisture, and we're seeing that right now. In fact, you can see in the latest 6-hour loop showing those increasing clouds now across the area with our current temperatures into the 50s and 60s. 50 degrees is the coldest spot that I can find right now on our local area, and Sparta is measuring that currently. 64 in La Crosse, 61 degrees in Eau Claire, and at 61 to our western neighbors up in Rochester, 56 Black River Falls. So overall, your forecast today, partly to mostly cloudy skies. I am watching for the chance of a few thunderstorms possible later into the day, more so towards the early evening hours, and that's from that front that we'll talk about later. Southwest winds at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. For the forecast tonight, 61 degrees, a few isolated thunderstorms possible, a few clouds, otherwise north-northwest winds light at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Hey, if you haven't had a chance yet to mow the lawn, I think today may be a nice day because the clouds will help limit the daytime heating so it won't get too hot today. Temperatures in the low 80s this afternoon under partly to mostly cloudy conditions. I'll check on your full weather forecast coming up in a few minutes, and we'll also talk about your Buzz Report. The MTV Video Music Award nominations are out, and this year that's exciting news for singers like Taylor Swift, aka Dua's favorite, and SZA. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. Partly to mostly cloudy weather conditions now across the Coulee region. In fact, you really can't see a whole lot of activity right now from City Cam 8 because of all the thick clouds covering our skies here currently. Luckily, though, this morning for your morning commute, the visibilities are looking A-OK, and you can see that here on the screen. 10-mile visibilities being reported at the La Crosse Airport. Temperatures are currently at 64. It's a little cooler downtown, however, at 61 degrees here at the station. South winds are looking light at around 9 miles an hour. Meanwhile, in Eau Claire, it's 61 degrees. We're looking at visibility levels at around 7 miles. Wind speeds are looking nice and calm here this morning. So you can see some of those increasing clouds moving in from the west and southwest. There's a couple of reasons for that. There's a couple of disturbances that I'm watching. This frontal boundary to our north, which is forecast to slide its way south, that may help increase our shower and thunderstorm chances later. I'm also watching this trough of low pressure back to our south and west near Iowa. That system's producing showers and thunderstorms near Iowa as well as Nebraska, and also down towards portions of Missouri this morning. That's helping to increase our clouds right now. I'm expecting those showers and storms to our south to remain to our south, but again, that front could trigger some showers and storms, which we'll get to here in a second. Our current temperatures are in the 50s and 60s as you head out the door here this morning. Temperatures will warm their way up into the low 80s under cloudy skies by noon today, and then by 4 o'clock, mostly cloudy. Temperatures at 84. Some scattered showers that I will be watching here in the day planner as we get near the early evening hours today, and some of us, again, running into some of those thunderstorms as well. Forecast highs today into the low to mid 80s, 85 in La Crosse today, and a high of 81 degrees this afternoon in Eau Claire. All right, so let's get back to that cold front that I mentioned here. It's going to start to move its way down the south. I expect it to move its way into the Coulee region as we get closer towards the 11 o'clock hour. See those showers and storms near Iowa? Well, that system is going to continue to move towards the east and stay mainly to our south. That front is going to continue to make its way to our south, though, as we head into early this evening. And again, that could trigger a couple of showers and storms. The better chances will be across the Chippewa Valley and sections of northern Wisconsin. If they hold together, they could move their way south across the rest of the Coulee region into the La Crosse area as we head into overnight tonight. That frontal boundary is going to stall out here as we head into tomorrow morning. That could trigger some cloudy skies and maybe a slight chance of a shower or storm for tomorrow. But I think the better chances, though, will be to our west and also to our north. So we may see some of those cloudy weather conditions spread across the area for tomorrow. Something that we'll keep our eyes on. But here's a check on your 8-day forecast. I do expect some better storm chances for Friday. Saturday, mostly sunny. Keeping some storm chances in the forecast for Sunday, though, and then for next week, at least for the first 3 days of next week, partly to mostly sunny conditions there. Highs remaining to the 80s, which is seasonable for August, lows into the 60s.
In our Morning Buzz report, MTV has released its annual award nominations, and for many, the list of nods isn't surprising. Taylor Swift racked up a total of 8 Video Music Award nominations. The star has been dominating ticket sales and headlines all year with her historic Eras tour. Last year, Swift became the first artist to win 3 VMAs in a single night. She may beat that total this year. R&B performer SZA is close behind Swift in nominations with a total of 6.
I know a lot of people enjoy themselves. Like I said, it brings a lot of money into the city, so it's definitely going to be a disappointment for a lot of people.
The Made in America Music Festival in Philadelphia has been canceled, according to the event's organizers. The festival was set to be headlined by singers Lizzo and SZA this year. While the reason for the cancellation has not been released, the organizers say it was a difficult decision. Rapper Jay-Z founded the festival in 2012. It typically occurs over Labor Day weekend. Ciara and her husband, NFL quarterback Russell Wilson, are expecting another baby. In an Instagram post this week, the singer announced that she's pregnant. This will be the couple's 3rd child. They already have a 6-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Ciara also has a 9-year-old son with musician Future. Wilson, who is a former Badger football star, is heading into his 12th season in the NFL. Now, I know previously we talked a little bit about the cha-cha slide. I got my lyrics
I didn't
wrong.
get a chance to actually
learn it.
Figure out the dance move on that because I'm not a dancer. I'm just a meteorologist.
The thing about the cha-cha slide is that they tell you what to do in the lyrics.
Okay, so that makes sense then.
We'll make it happen some
We'll make it
other
happen
day.
sometime. I just don't want to embarrass myself here today.
You got to show off your best dance moves now.
We will later. Not right now. Is that a deal?
No,
we'll
that's
do it
not
later.
a deal.
Okay, well, too bad. Moving on.
All right, well, sadly, we have no birthdays sent in today.
But if you do have a birthday, happy birthday. If you know a special someone that is turning 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we love to feature them.
That's right. Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab. Stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your Morning News Now is up next. Time for your morning news now. The Vernon County Sheriff's Office is releasing new details on a toy wagon incident that left 1 dead Friday night in the town of Whitestown. In a press release by the Vernon County Sheriff's Office, 17-year-old Marvin Miller, 20-year-old Irvin Miller, and an unnamed male juvenile were riding a toy wagon downhill on Indian Creek Road when they struck a tree. All 3 were ejected down an embankment. After the incident, Irvin Miller called the Vernon County Sheriff's Office 911 dispatch center around 10 p.m. Friday night. The unnamed juvenile was transported by Lafarge ambulance to Vernon Memorial Healthcare in Viroqua before being transferred to UW-Madison. Marvin Miller was pronounced dead at the scene by the Vernon County Coroner's Office. The incident remains under investigation by the Vernon County Sheriff's Office and the Vernon County Coroner's Office. A reverse waiver hearing has been held for the teenage boy accused of killing and raping 10-year-old Lily Peters. Lawyers for the teenage boy are trying to move the case to juvenile court. In today's hearing, more witnesses were called to the stand, one of whom was a psychologist that works for the state of Wisconsin. He has worked with juveniles that committed violent crimes in the past. The district attorney pressed him about the suspect's capacity to understand the gravity of the crime, despite the suspect being on the autism spectrum.
You're not saying that he wouldn't understand that he's going to get in trouble for what happened?
No, I'm not making that comment.
Okay. So he makes you acknowledge from the criminal complaint that he took certain actions to cover up what he did or to remove himself from the situation when he got scared?
Yes.
A block of one of downtown La Crosse's busiest roads is down to 1 lane. The city of La Crosse says a block of 4th Street is partially closed for an emergency water line repair. The northbound driving lane on the right-hand side has been closed between J and Pearl Street, clogging up traffic. The work on the water line will finish on Thursday. A rail crossing in Bryce Prairie is closing again, this time for pavement repairs. That's according to a notice sent from the La Crosse County Highway Department. BNSF will work on the County Road Z crossing again starting Friday. Work was first started on the crossing on August 1st and 3rd. During Friday's repairs, access to certain areas in Bryce Prairie will only be available by using County Road ZN. The Houston School District asked voters to approve $30 million capital referendum to renovate district buildings. The unofficial answer at the polls is an overwhelming no. The unofficial tally is 91% of the district voting against the referendum. The district had split the request into 2 questions. The first was for $18 million to renovate district buildings, including more secure entrances and add new learning commons and media centers. The second question asked for $12 million for a new auditorium and performing arts spaces. The superintendent said before the vote that no matter the result, the discussions that have come out of this process will be beneficial moving forward. The West Salem National Honor Society partnered with the American Red Cross to host a blood drive. According to a student in the West Salem National Honor Society, the organization has been partnering with the Red Cross for about 20 years. Anyone who registered to donate was also entered in drawing to win prizes. A student volunteer said that donating blood is an easy way to help others.
If you think about it, like, there are people out there in need, and like, you're helping them so much. It's just such a little act can like impact them and save their lives, and it's really awesome. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for people to do, and I think it's really cool that we're able to actually do it.
The blood drive comes as the Red Cross is experiencing a nationwide shortage in blood donations.
And as you head out the door this morning, temperatures are into those 50s and 60-degree readings. We're going to be warming up into the 70s as we get near those later morning hours. Under those increasing clouds, clouds will stay mainly cloudy here for much of the day, with afternoon temperatures in the 80s. A slight chance of a shower or storm is possible. Getting closer towards the early evening hours, I think our better chances will be mainly towards our north, though. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast, and we're going to be looking at those storm chances here again for Friday, but we'll be partly cloudy skies for tomorrow. Looking for another slight chance of storms on Sunday. Otherwise, mixed clouds and sun here. Highs in the 80s, lows in the 60s.
Definitely keep that rain gear handy.
I would say so, yeah, just in case you may run to one of those pop-up shower storms.
But we still have that warm weather, even though summer's ending. We talked a little bit about that.
Hey, we still have all of August.
At the start of the show. Yes, we do. But, you know, time flies.
Yeah, it sure does.
All right, well, thank you for watching News 8 Now this morning. Don't forget to keep up with news of the day on news8000.com, and we'll have the latest updates to today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. Have a wonderful Wednesday morning.